So a lot of people are curious about why now am I voicing my overall opinion about the state of American Christianity, about the evangelical movement. Um, again, as I mentioned in a previous video, I mentioned how the evangelical Christian movement is the biggest faction within Christianity. It's the most influential, and on and on and on. Um, I've had some comments about that video. I've also had conversations with people offline. And one of the questions that they wanted to know was there a single incident that stood out more than anything as far as bad experiences with church, with the evangelical Christian church and mega churches and on and on? And I'll share the answer with you. No, I mean, not a single incident. It's been collection, a collection of things over the years. Of course, observing things from um, the inside out, from childhood on up into adulthood, weighing things and then making an informed decision. But there's been a lot of things, obviously, that has happened within my church experience. Um, and you find that that's typically something that's cited. A lot of people mention church hurt, and it's done in a lot of cases in a very cynical way, almost a walk it off or get over it type of attitude that's taken toward it. Um, there's been a lot of experiences, but I'll pick one that really solidified um, my stand where I am now in deciding that Messiah and what he taught matters far above any system uh, or any organized group or any club, if you would. Um, Prairie Bible College, shout out to them. Really, really nice people. People in Canada are so nice. Yeah, they're freakishly nice. It makes you think you're like in some thriller movie to where they wait until you fall asleep and they kill you in the middle of the night. No, people in Canada are uber nice, and had a great time there. The temperature was below zero in the whole nine, but yeah, a great experience. Nice people. So checked on the young man. He turned out to be okay. Was just going through a little bit of a struggle, kind of hiding the fact from the parent that he was going through a bad time, a hard time, being away from home and vastly different. All four directions you look, you could see nothing but snow in every direction. So he played for the basketball team. And I hung around actually about 10 days or so, and I traveled with him and some of his teammates up to Calgary. I cannot remember the name of the school, but it was also a religious school, college, or whatever. All I remember is the acronym. It was spelled SAIT, SAIT, SAIT. And we went to a basketball game. And there was a buzz about some well-known evangelical Christian author, an apologist, apologetics, and the whole nine. And a lot of the young folk there were excited about meeting the guy. A lot of them had read his books and they had books on hand and they were hoping to get an autograph, and he would be signing autographs during halftime. So they mentioned him to me. I had never heard of him per se. But yeah, I'm tagging along. I'm having a good time. And halftime of the game comes about, and we make our way up to the mezzanine level where the guy is sitting. And there's a long line of people, and you can hear from a distance, who should I make this out to? And people were getting their books signed, and some people, were snapping pictures. the whole nine. And as we drew closer, the individual looked up and saw me, and all of what little color he had seemed to drain out of his face. Um, and it's odd because I didn't take it necessarily as it being me. Um, my impulse was to turn around and look behind me and to see maybe if he saw something back there. But you know, when you know it's about you and about no one else. So as we approach and we get closer, the individual gives me another glance, and he signs a book for one of the young man's friends and teammate. And then the guy looks squarely at me, and he makes one of the nastiest, most racist, vulgar remarks to me. I will not repeat it, but the first part of it had something to do with, isn't it enough that you people are tearing up the states? I'm surprised they let you in here. Now, of course, the whole line froze, and there was like this collective gasp. And everyone turned to look at me as the shock wore off, and the chatter of what had been said to me started spreading down the line. Some people stayed in line to get autographs. A lot of the people got out of the line. And I remember looking squarely at the individual with a bit of a smirk on my face. And I said something to him along the lines of, and such as you are the kingdom of heaven. I did not exchange barbs with this guy, even though I wanted to slap the life out of him, and he would have deserved it. But multiple people followed me back to where we were all seated to ask me, was I okay, and how shocked they were. And a lot of people said, we'll never read another word from this guy. And a lot of people were floored by this, but being from the South, this was old hat for me. This was par for the course. I didn't even think much about it after the fact. Not so really, not about him either, but I thought about the type of books that he writes, about God and the case for God and why this happened and why these things happen, and how he, was, and I assume still is, considered an authority. He's a much older guy now, and I think he's having problems with his mind and other things. He even delved off into children's books at one time. Who he is not important. And if you really wanted to know, I'm pretty sure you could figure it out. Even though he's not every evangelical Christian, in my experience, their best is usually the worst. Is usually their worst. And there's just this thing cooked into the soil, baked into the soil, this idea of superiority, this idea that somehow they can embody the love of God and teach the love of God while hating another human being. And yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. So while some would say, well, oh, maybe he was having a bad day, or oh, maybe you don't know about some experience he may have had, it, yada, yada, just, save it. Save it. I don't even give the situation energy. I'm only mentioning it because, again, I feel like things like this need to be said. Things like this, they need to be known. Um, there is a faith life that can exist outside of the trappings of the American church and outside of the trappings of these umbrella organizations. Um, it's true. It's true. I'm a living witness to that. Um, there's always going to be plenty of us, people who look like me, who will argue to stay in the system, to argue to stay into the system. And, weak arguments like, you just do what you need to do and let God handle it. Okay, I'll agree with you on a level with that, but do what you need to do elsewhere. Um, we don't have to force ourselves into environments and situations where we are deemed inferior and where we are not wanted. And where we are not wanted. I mentioned in the last video that when people leave churches in mass, it does indeed create a vacuum, and something has to fill that vacuum. For some of our people, we go out in the heat and we wear three-piece suits with bow ties and we sell bean pies and issues of the final call. Some of us, it's religions based in the ancestors back on the home continent of Africa. For some of us, it's straight to Islam proper, worldwide Islam, because there is a difference between worldwide Islam and the Nation of Islam. It's true. Ask Malik Shabazz if you could. But we are responsible for offering people the option to stay with Messiah and break from the church. It can be done. It can be done. It can be done. People are looking, a lot of people that I've had conversations with about this specific topic, they are looking for a faith that, not a faith, but they're looking for if they can have a perfect denomination or whatever. Faith that's based in Christ, based in his teachings. Communities that take responsibility. Communities that have disciplines, biblically based, prescribed disciplines and adhere to them. Communities that are responsible to each other, that build each other up, build its members up, and support each other across the board. This is what people are looking for. They don't want to be a face in a big sports stadium. They want to be a member of true community, first century type true community. And I don't believe that that's too much to ask. But it's complicated, and I get it. I also mentioned in the last video that there are groups that get together and, they buy land. I didn't mention this aspect specifically, but some of them get together, pool money, and they buy land. Some of these people are craftspeople like me. I'm an electrician. They have plumbers. They have carpenters, X, Y, and Z. And they start community. They start growing their own food, and before you know it, meat's off the table, and that's fine. I'm not knocking that, but meat's off the table. And next thing you know, a figurehead has been nominated as the leader, and they're marrying 3 and 4 wives. It kind of goes off the rails. Some of them have been in a news cycle. I think there was a group out near Wisconsin or somewhere out there in the middle of nowhere. One guy was beating the snot out of his kid or whatever. Again, it's just, if the word is not the foundation, and if that word is not soberly administered and understood, yeah, as we can see, you can dominate an entire continent like the African continent um, by misusing the book. You can dominate the planet, actually, if you were so uh, inclined and had the wherewithal to attempt. You could do it. So, yeah, again, that's just another story, another item that has been a part of my story as to why I had to step away uh, from the organized church. Um, there was just no room for me there. And once it was done and I saw it for what it was, there was never a route back, nor a desire to go back. It's about the Messiah. It's about his teachings. It's about what he laid out as far as how to live our lives, how to put light into the world, to draw people by that light, and then to share that light. Yeah, I mean, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's really not. We make it hard. We have, or what I've experienced more than anything, one of the aspects that have stood out to me more than anything is that the church, the organized church, the evangelical church, and a lot of its well-meaning people, their methods and their ideology is highly formulaic, but it's not transformative. At the end of the day, it's not transformative. You know, the gospel should change lives. Coming out of the UPC churches I mentioned to you, it would amaze me at the way that people would have their spiritual experiences, and for all that was spoken and stammered, it's amazing to me that in your claims to dialogue and talk with God, he never told you to stop being racist. He never told you to stop being hateful. Who are you really talking to? I think that's a good question. That's a good question for some. Who are you really talking to? So at any rate, that's just this latest input on a series of videos that I'm just going to throw out there when there's something that I want to share. When we say that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, it rolls off the tongue so easily, but yet most of us don't understand the depth of what that means. The way is the same way that God, back in the days of what we call the Old Testament, said of Abraham, when on the way and Sodom and Gomorrah is about to be destroyed, the two cities with fire and brimstone, God says of Abraham, I know him. And I know that he will walk in the way and will teach his children to walk in the way, his children, children's children. and those after him will walk in the way. We need to find our way back to the old paths. We need to find our way by taking the way, the one that is narrow, and few will find it. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. 2 cents for now. As always, take care of yourself.